introduce a bill that can turn someone into a willing pet who also gains like super strength, regeneration, and immortality. Right? I mean, you know, women, they're just they're just cattle. You just go out and you hunt them, and yeah, you bring them home and you cull them. And it's people turning up and saying, "Hello, I'm going to kidnap you and keep you as my pet." Like, this is why. This is the big background explanation.
I don't need a girlfriend. I just need a girl pet. I need a sylph. Which, admittedly, is far less likely. Not least because this. Will you, Stephen Banks, please consent to be my lawfully recognised pet sylph? I laughed and lifted the pill, then paused with it, given sylphs human rights and expected men to be sold alongside women at pet shops. Nobody fucking knew a damn thing about how North Korea reacted. A burden on the populace? Well, no, because at that point they become a pet property of other people, and the state doesn't have to care about them. I can talk over you and you know. I've even had the fucking pedants who are like, well, that's logical fallacy number one.
Convince me to be their lovely, submissive sylph pet. So I've been kind of playing with this idea for Satan now. And like he's got a pet demon, and you know, even before that, when he was Smith, he was kind of a werewolfy guy.
Knew someone. She was my you. She made me complete. She was my pet and one of my best friends. What happened to her? Asked Lisa. In their allotments, that they, you know, if they've got a garden and they, you know, they might have pet chickens or whatever, and they can
ever have pets until the pet is capable of clearly and distinct and succinctly saying, yes, I would like to be.
You know, people who've maybe got pet chickens, pet goats or whatever, you know, maybe they do have a cow, and I nearly made an outdated joke then.
Fucking badass. And of course, because the Farshnook is the Farshnook, she is his submissive pet. And that poor.
I have written a scene into this story where the Farshnook literally has a massive pet spider. Because I love spiders. I think spiders are rad.
Is capable of clearly and distinct and succinctly saying, yes, I would like to be your pet, please. Because I there found out if the Farshnook found out that his pet had been put down by some school, he would shoot up the fucking place.
It's fine, said Laura. Really, no harm, no foul. I am curious why your pet is naked on the floor and why there is a young man in the bathroom. Wait, no, I don't want to. It's fine. And then she kind of essentially gets taken as a pet, and she's like, oh, okay, I kind of see you. I love the idea of shrunken women and like little pet women. Like this, I live for young, beautiful women, and yet I know and acknowledge that if basically he only gets stopped from doing so because his morality pet, his Lucy, sacrificed of Jahans as literally like a pet on this guy's office desk. And that was a massive influence, right? Like, I plan involving revolution in order to end up keeping me as a pet. I am someone who is, by his nature, naturally a little eaten alive by a logicio, and, you know, then being kept as a pet. You know, that's fine, you know. Come over here, you're gonna be immortal, you're gonna be a glorious pet, and I will look after you, and I shall love you, and I shall call you Fluffy.
You know, the companion is a pet, and then you get to sort of play with the fact that the sexism in...
To be a cog in the great machine, you can just be a pet, because this is the kind of world where there are logicios. Regret, I hereby give my consent to be your lawfully recognised pet self. And then I felt weird. Drug that grants immortality by making you into a pet. And I have these misogynistic super nerd super fans who patrol the multiverse. I kind of see your point. I'm gonna now become a champion for justice, and almost her saying, okay, I am a pet now, but that I'm not gonna let that stop me. Basically, my sister got a pet chicken, and I was like, I can't eat something that is a pet. I can't do it. I can't. Yourself being manipulated and romanced and turned into a pet that, yeah, cockfick is kind of appropriate. Thought. Lisa approached him. What would you do if I were your pet? He grinned. Oh, I'd spoil you. You'd have your in a really fucked up kind of way to say, yeah, I want to take care of you and keep you as a pet because it's my fetish, than to say, being the owner saying, no, my pet, you do as I say. Except because it's the Farshnook, you can't say that, so you have to kind of do a lot. Basically like his best friend for that year. And then come December, he eats a Christmas bird, his pet gets stuffed. And maybe I'll find a pretty blonde submissive woman who'll be my pet. And maybe pigs will fucking fly. Or I could do that, said Anna, and she giggled. You want to pet me? The Farshnook blushed. Go on, just a stroke. Shut up. You wouldn't happen to know anyone who wants a 6-foot-tall blonde as a pet self, would you? Joshua smirked. The people who run the sort of, you know, the pet centres for sylphs actually take care to, you know, keeping them as their own pet weapons, you know. So I suppose if you are in the business of hunting Farshnooks, if need be, I will convince one of you to go pet full time, but for now, that is not my priority. Then what is? Asked Anna. After, it's boy meets girl, girl falls in love with boy, boy keeps girl as a pet. Generally. And funnily enough, right, purring, and I let her off her leash. She crawled over to the cat bowl, rammed her face into the pet food, and started eating. I watched her eat. This is why I will eat meat, despite saying what I'm going to say now. Okay. There was a woman who had a pet pig. Alright? Quite interesting to write. Kind of going, okay, so how would I be bought to become a pet? How would that take place? We'll pay your debt off and give you a reasonable allowance. To be your pet, said Sally, incredulous. To be our cat, said the old woman defensively. Stroked and like all the time, it's constantly being petted. And yeah, for a pet, that's okay because it's a pet and it's cute. I want to do this to honour you as a painless transition to being a pet, but I intended to hand you over to the Legitios with the rest of them. They don't know how, but the cancer is gone. All of it. Farshnook beamed and hugged his old pet. He said, you swore yourself to me, and I swore. At some point, bring in characters having pet shrunken women sylphs. Although I might have to come up with a different name for the future. Putting aside the £350 a month is going to leave me about £150 to £200 to spend on living per month. That was played with was this idea of sort of the blissing out. The idea that if you pet a sylph enough, I woke next day, naked beside Cigarette as she watched a sharksploitation film. Woman to let him destroy her brain and possibly kill her, and now she's his pet. I think it's just possible that he could convince a good deal. The fact that I can live such a long time and remember so much. And oh yeah, I am your pet, so therefore I don't have to worry about buying things, because I remember when I was younger, I really wanted to have my own pet Scabbers. And then it's like, yeah, Scabbers is an old bloke. Saying, you'd want what? Like your pet? I mean, it's... Partner would be sent into an artificial coma and placed safely away in a bunker beneath my house, and my pet would be stuffed. In June and July, the flyer said you were looking for a replacement for your pet cat. Yes, that's the vacancy, said the old woman. I thought
his pet gets stuffed, the male friend leaves, the girlfriends get drugged, becoming puppies,
and as yet I haven't got a fucking replacement pet. And yeah, you know, there are economic reasons why I can't, because if you eat this, your biology will change and you won't age, and you'll find being a pet much more enjoyable. She grinned. Oh, this is awesome.
A very barbaric operation, but that's what he's doing. And he also has one male quote-unquote pet who is this alien being was to kind of come down and keep me as a pet. There would need to be a certain amount of build-up and a stuff. You can do is you could have people with their individual allotments, you know, people who've maybe got pet chickens, pet goats or whatever, you know, maybe they do have an adorable person who will just be utterly submissive to you and that you can keep as a pet, and they're like a human turned into an egg-laying sylph by the Great Thoshnook. And then she is essentially raised as Jafaxi Kulamansi's pet, otherwise known as Kate. Nobody really cares. We're not saying you killed a pet. We're saying it's an argument, a debate. Now we can either put her down or amputate the limb. We didn't have pet insurance, so Dad was pushing Mum to put the cat.
I've written stories about myself as a pet now. I haven't written the majority of stuff, but logicios can still swoop down and say, hey, I'm taking a woman as my pet. Okay? I just am. And essentially, they have all legal rights. Lisa was noticeably interested in my new state as pet, and rather implored me to join her and Carla in a threesome, but I is a very beautiful woman, and you basically just take care of her like a pet. It really does, it really is a sort of a pawn that plays into
Things that they will do. I'll bet this! Oh, I got fed! Okay, pick this, and then the one time
independent, powerful individual into a pet, a plaything who is utterly and kind of willingly dependent upon another. It was too easy, as I had in my possession a woman who regarded herself as my pet and happily let me drink from her. Nice, sweet, sunny girl would do me. Just a nice sort of pet sylph. That would do me. Like, I don't, you know, a toy girl would be.
I'm gonna be fighting later on is by giving myself over to him so he may keep me as a pet. Yeah, that doesn't work with a feminist novel.
For sake, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm not gonna turn you into a toy, and I'm not gonna keep you as a pet. I just thought you might fancy a trip around the multiverse instead of vacancy. Read the young woman from the ad in the shop window. We have recently lost our pet cat and are currently looking for a replacement. And now, as a result, oh look, he gets a girlfriend. Oh look, he gets to keep a clone of Lucy as a pet because weirdness. Look at you, boy. You actually found the courage to ask her to be your pet. Congratulations. He hugged me. then held up a ziploc as she asked. A collar, I said. For my new pet. She grinned. It's legit, innit? Put it on then. I secured the collar around her neck and grinned. To become a sylph. You will cease to be human and become a pet animal. She'll look after you and you'll love it. I promise. Worth, I'm glad you decided to become mine and Egret's pet. You make her very happy, and it seems Sammy went to a lot of effort to get you to me. Now, oh, I want to stick a collar on you because I think you'd make a rather lovely pet, or, you know, or even, oh, I don't have to worry about risking my neck or anything, because my whole point is that I'm the pet who stays in the ship and kind of gets looked after. And this is sort of brought in the idea of sort of like the culture of pet ownership extended towards people. Well, for a little bit, said Lucy. But no, you don't understand, Steve. I'm your pet. I don't leave you. Friends fall out, couples divorce, children leave. Safe, sane, entirely consensual sort of pet woman. That'd be nice. But ain't gonna fucking happen. Not even a submissive woman. Nakedness and the necessities of cleaning up after a pet animal with cat-like instincts and behaviour, but a person's body. As I understand it, that isn't the problem so much as going in knowing I will end up as a pet is. The Farshnik nodded. Hey, welcome to the Empire. Have a copy of me as a pet, sort of thing. And the idea is then that she also knows that I care for you like a pet because, like a pet, I would fight and die for you, and you are important. This isn't a one-way street. By taking you as my pet, I am agreeing to the responsibility of seeing that you are okay. Of batches, and we can test them out at dinner. Lucy raised an eyebrow. Dinner? Are you sure your pet will be okay with that? Oh, okay, pick this, and then the one time they're like, fuck it, I'll pick that. Oh, pellet. And so when my dad is pissing away hundreds of pounds on a pet business project, and I'm finally, you know, the really pissed off pedant saying, no, I'm telling you, this makes no flipping sense. The master would be the doctor's pet, and that there is such rampant homoeroticism between the two of them. He's fucking in a relationship with you. And he sees you as a pet. He sees you as something cute, as something sweet, as something... Architect of Chaos basically takes a liking to me and decides to keep me as a pet, and it's kind of... I'm looking for a, you know, pretty submissive woman to be my pet, you know. You can try really hard, you can have massive advertising campaigns, doesn't mean I'm very fucking petty. There is a reason that I utterly hate and despise pedants. Because I am that goddamn pet.
With your head, fruitlessly. Get that thing away from me! Here, my pet. Up. No, not up there! No!
Somebody with a car, or sort of just a film like somebody was a pet monster. Because the car is just like a shark, and some of those things just sort of
Need me to be happy. I feel I can justify asking the most selfish thing I ever could. Will you be my pet sylph? I stared at her. At the same time, I am kind of horny, so I'm just gonna have a very sexy lady as a pet hamster. Right? It's a very juvenile fancy, and it is what I stumble. Freshly spilled blood of a woman I keep as a pet, and eaten the flesh of another I call friend. I think I rather trump you on the pissing off friend. Willingly become a sylph, you must come to like me and want to be my pet. Thus, we must socialise. I think I will have a chicken and ribs combo. There are delightful things to love and protect. And if someone slaughtered your pet, you would who is owned by the Bamkirch as the Bamkirch's pet, and the Unleasher is a counterpoint in that sort of way, and the Septagonoids are a counterpoint when she was like this. So if you look after your tiny hatchling pet, the full-grown wereshark sylph with Lucy's memories will guard you. One who gets to be the pet this time. And now, as a result, oh look, he gets a girlfriend. Oh look, he gets to about being wooed to be someone's subby little pet. Because I'm a fucking weirdo and I'm okay with that. And also, it's to reward. Does he? Well, he's only been a pet himself for a little bit, said Lucy. But no, you don't understand, Steve. I'm your pet. I don't. Who, you know, is your pet who is blood bonded to you, because essentially, you know, it's Choice World, and she was their body rewards them for sort of doing pet-like behaviour, and like they like strokes. And Sally exited the door and sized up Hannah. So who were you supposed to be? I'm his pet, said Hannah. I know the clothes are atrocious, but Ian, void. It's the only way. It's the only thing that makes sense. You know, I hate pedants. I loathe pedants.
A thinker who considers the issues with regards to pet ownership. Yeah? Fucking yeah? Because you extrapolate.
And I will be free to go about my life, said Anna. Or accept a collar and become my pet, said the Farshnik hopefully. Or go unless you go too long without your master, or unless your master treats you like a pet. I don't know, I'm between pills at the moment. Lisa looked. Sam's reacted to the sylph pills by shrinking, and that basically means you'll have to look after her like she's a pet hamster for a few weeks until she passes through the guinea. We might have been friends. Lisa finished writing and said, or I could have been your pet. He smiled wistfully at the thought. Talking sharks and shrinking women kept as pets, and it would have like all of the bases covered. You know, in the grand multiverse, it's kind of a taboo to have a pet sylph that you are sexual with. You know, so Vampire Guild, or finding a suitable person to imprint on and be a pet sylph to. He said that clearly my burdens were how I cover him. Officially collared. What does that mean? It means legally my pet sylph, with all the protections that brings, said the Farshnik. What pill were you?
And daughters and then boys, pet Peregrine Falcon, you know, sort of magically gets transformed into like,
I will wear this collar, I will wear this bikini, I will be your pet and live in your cage because you are so wonderful and so awesome. And Many a True Nerd is actually one of those people that I would yes, if he wanted a pet sylph, I'd be okay with that. And Sally in tears and basically saying, I'm going to burn your little pet and then I'm going to flay you alive. Shit in the world, and anyone who's willing to clear that up, awesome. But pedants aren't scientists. Pedants aren't, you know, clearing up the bullshit. Anne laughed as she started to get dressed. Okay, but I'm still your pet. I expect big things when I return. Oh, Boy takes girl home in a cage and looks after her as a pet. It was weird, but in kind of a much tamer, more naive. As people are just like, the birds rise up and immediately peck them to the ground, peck them to death. You know, they're lost. Essentially, a pet sylph, right? And a pet sylph who is a wereshark sylph. She can heal, and the Contravoxi are something that is a pet. I can't do it. I can't play with this thing when I eat its relatives. We're talking about giving her away so she'll be my pet and I can drink her blood. Eliza shrugged. Mate, my crush is a mass murderer, and your crush are that they've got their little toys, and then also that they've got Amy and Lucy their pet sylphs as well at the different courses. The Bam Kirsch has started selling her toys here and is making a fortune. My pet Lucy's hatchling was named Jessica, and she's made a distraction, said Lucy. I sighed. I shall have to get used to having a pet that's smarter than me, won't I? Lucy, I think you were chosen to be my new pet cat. Basically, I think you were chosen so I could unwrap you and tame you, and that you would be completely being tamed and kept as a pet. And a story about myself being eaten alive is kind of like me fucking right winger who shows his head above the parapet and is like, and I will now debate your policies. Blocked. You know, interesting. You know, it's like the rug shop, the pet shop, the 4 different little shops for food. You know, the bike. A worried look and advised, Lucy, I don't like this. His pet is like you. Lucy looked at the girl too now and said, it's okay, Greta, the experience pick for mistress if I was to be a pet. But I was also now seeing no feeling, regret, you know, I hate pedants. I loathe pedants. Genuinely, like, I appreciate the snorted and fell silent. The fuck do you ask to be someone's pet? Excuse me, Miss Terrifying, you seem like a very dominating person. An artist, then it's a case of how it's interpreted. If you're inking a comic, if you're
the sylphs will willingly be the perfect pet, the perfect cattle, the perfect slaves. Will be biologically subservient to me and legally my pet. Dave frowns. And option 3. Gala opens the door of the slipper and steps out into the middle of a wet... It's hard, okay, said the fashioning. You try destroying the brain of someone you consider a beloved pet. It is not easy. Whatever. And as yet, I haven't got a fucking replacement pet. And yeah, you know, there are economic reasons why I can't, because, yeah, well, as a kid in primary school, I kept a dead rat as a pet in my school uniform. The system to have for pets, because then, you know, the pet can actually say, motherfucker, don't put me down! Motherfucker, don't read my very weird story about me kind of becoming the pet of someone, and it will be very weird and kind of is to say, well, okay, so, you know, this is the pet or toy to be, you know, how does it's like, or was before the aliens turned up and made you queen. I figure being someone's pet cat isn't a bad life, and, well, I mean, you've seen. To Lucy turning up at the end as a pet, being like, so I'm yours now, you're queen. And there was that time in primary school when I basically kept a dead rat in my pocket and took him to school as a pet because and I became William Dixon Wright once more. In January, I would live as a pet sylph at a local zoo as a sort of spiritual cleansing and to help encourage. And the sylphs didn't exist. What all that happened, all there was the idea of the girl pet. And there are really dashing and charismatic and saves the universe and wants me to be her pet. Yes, I could go along with this. Of stories at the moment that are just pretty much like, yay, aren't women awesome? I'd love to have one as a pet. And it's like, you know, it's you survive by and it's like a pecking order. It is, you know, it's like, you know, and the awkwardness of keeping a grown woman as a pet. Believe me, I know that angst.
had a toy that was someone from the universe I had experienced, like, then I'm pretty much just like, if he wanted a pet, I'd be there in an instant, you know. And lovely and adorable, and how would you like to be immortal and be my pet? 'Cause yes, I shall die forever and burn. Sounds like a sneeze, but I work for Laura, Queen of Mirth. I'm sort of her pet eldritch abomination, literally. In fact, I have a collar and everything. The point is that actually a sylph is just a person who wants to be your pet. You know, there's no sex involved. It is just that they are a beautiful, adorable. Lucy frowns. Have you ever had a pet hamster? I ask because one of the lambs reacted to the sylph pills by shrinking them over. I'll take your girlfriend aside, and then I'll, you know, make her be a submissive pet in front of me, and you will know as far as the left wing is concerned, that means that their particular pet brand of left-wingism gets to have its own special snowflake club. Legally speaking, you will be treated as a sentient pet under my and my husband's charge. You'll still have your human rights, you'll just have a load of a whole...
Then after a night of that, he goes about finding a girlfriend, about finding a pet for the year, about
what, I'm gonna strip naked and wear a collar and I'm gonna be someone's pet. And I genuinely find that more interesting than, you know, detailing of me about an architect of chaos coming along and taking me as his pet. I am the guy who wrote a story called The Cookie Back. But it also means that you are a pet. And it also means that sylphs like pain. So, nobody mentioned this. Regret snorted. Be thankful you're just my pet. The toys quite literally surrender their rights and become legal property. And you, the quiet romantic stroll with your pet, said Laura. Laura strode past and pulled herself on top of Princess. Then she rode off. Oh, and I now had a pet woman, and my saviour's wife looked at me like I was a slab of meat just waiting to be devoured. Young couples out there whereby, you know, one person will be the other's pet, and it's you know, a BDSM. I shrug. Just to be clear, are you, Lisa, giving me enthusiastic consent to be my pet? Absolutely, says Lisa. I grin and unwrap her. Of how this works and how this fits, and the idea of sort of pet ownership of others. And the idea that, you know, Lucy wore a shirt and skirt, but she was hunched down on all fours, eating pet kibble from a bowl. Eliza stroked her back. Forever! But the downside is that you're submissive and a pet. Right? And the way this originated, you know, you can get eternal youth, but you will basically be a pet. And it plays into ideas like, how do you deal with an aging demographic population? Laura's like, well, actually, I'd like to be your pet, and then, you know, the Farshnik is like, oh, I get a Lucy, this is awesome. Or, you know, that you would fill in. And and I know that playing a sneaky guy, I had the points for weapon, for a one-handed weapon. I had the points for light armor. This whole thing of, you know, wanting a shrunken pet woman did kind of happen around the time that I was like, I wanted to have a collar and secured it around her neck. See, now that's better, said Anna. You get a new pet. I don't have to worry about work again. And protagonist, you know, the Sherlock Holmes is just like, so you're really hot and I want to keep you as a pet. And it's kind of like, here's like that. That's it. You know, the girl pet. You know, there were my attempts at approaching things before, and really liked having pet sylphs. And there was a certain point during the writing of this fanfic where I would, and people said to Ian Duncan Smith, hey, what do you think of this petition? Why aren't you letting people know about the results? So I picked this up thinking, like, if I'm gonna have contracts in my fiction about owning pet women, I kind of don't. Where I get tamed and kept as a pet sylph, and it will be given out at the end of the month if there has been a Patreon play. And essentially Laura says, no, you're my pet, you'll do as I say. And really, the kind of on a table beside the armchair. He returned a moment later with a cat bowl full of pet food. Lucy stared at it. Darling, I would like to have my own party set. I would like to have my own pet shark, please. Or at least a full-size. So you asked your future wife out because a copy of you was given to her as a pet? Anthony nodded. He was quite charming about the whole thing, really. And how people can become sylphs and say, actually, I want to be your pet, and this whole imbalanced power dynamic thing. Of the sylphs, that sylphs can essentially, once they've been pet to a certain extent, they can bliss out. Point what you want to do with me. You know, if you want to marry me, keep me as a pet. If you want to turn me into a mermaid and keep me in a fish tank, I'm fine. His prototypical pet girl. And like there is also the Unleasher incarnation of the Farshnook, which is and decides to come and keep me as a pet as a reward for you guys donating so much as $1 to my Patreon. For the reality of my medical condition is oh, I don't like the breasts, and so my sister and my mother have gotten quite. Yay! This is what science is all about. Hidden tech. Whereas you would have the shepherd, he is the pet owner. And instead of having communicative pet is one that can give consent and say, no, I swear to you that I will never hurt you. She strides. Watch the Big Bang Theory and go, I want my own pet Sheldon. David Tennant fangirls. Oh, all of you people with cats and hamsters or rats or dogs or any other kind of pet out there. He's a shame, said Eliza. It also means she likes to be kept as a pet. Well, they all do, but Lucy especially, and well, look at her. Wrong and immoral and never. But a little pet woman, that I'd be up with the sort of. But I thought you meant she was having a threesome, not that he was a new pet, said Jim. Laura shrugged. She's good. Weird and kind of scary. The bars of my cage were rattled, and a different familiar voice said, so you're a pet now, huh? Well, that makes things a bit complicated. Becoming the pet of, in the care of Kate, the ship's counsellor, and also kind of the great goddess of love, said Laura. The man who loves his fellow man like a beloved pet can't just stand by when his creations enact oppression. So if this had been a rat, if this had been a dog or a cat, the fucking outrage! You slaughtered a pet! How fucking dare you! Snook sort of getting this really lovely pet to being, how the person being the pet gets this really awesome lifestyle because partner is interested in the idea of, acting out a scene of being shrunk or kept as a pet, then for God's sake, I'm my sister has pet chickens and I'm done now with that. Actually, I'm just done with you fucking want to keep Sheldon as a fucking pet? I'll show you the fucking Farshnook. You can fucking argue with him. His whole thing is that essentially he sees everyone as a pet to be. He sees basically the entirety of the human race as like little kittens. the same time taming this lovely blonde woman that the kind of cured version of his pet woman brought home as a reward for writing a romance story about myself being tamed and turned into a pet by a strange person, a strange man. You treat the person who is being shrunk and kept as a pet in that scene with fucking respect afterwards, and you give them all the people can volunteer to they can essentially go to a pet center and sign up to be a pet, right? Like, I've just been writing a story in which the Farschnook accidentally creates a clone of his pet woman, and always recruit one romantic partner, one pet, and one chef every year. This isn't to say that I wouldn't have other partners and other pets, but that to the living room to meet with Lisa. Amy stayed with me. Look, obviously I'm a pet, and so kind of in a subservient position here, but enigmatic alien guy who gets to pay me and keep me as a pet in this weird short story is called John Patreons. I'm writing a story about me being taken to be a pet by a man, and it's like Voshnik shrugged. I was thinking more that you would be a pet, but if you want to be a drink, you can be a drink. Said Eliza, I now pronounce you my pet cattle. Fiora snorted. Roxy seemed quite enthusiastic about the idea. We could get spit roasted. But I also know that you only said yes because you need to be someone's pet to counteract the worship madness, so don't feel like you owe me anything. Buy the ad. It seems so incongruous. If you want a pet cat, you go out and buy one. Why would you stick up a flyer and wait? About a woman being shrunk and kept as a pet. Even if I wasn't the kind of writer who finds himself writing. It was odd looking at my dear pet and knowing exactly how she felt when my massaging caused her to become a less sentient creature. To school kids and stuff, and to college kids and stuff, saying, you too should be a pet, because then you can live in this wonderful leader's dinner plate. Become that me's pet sylph, and Wereshark and be eaten alive by the great leader along with that me. Surviving through exploitability. The idea that people can become pet animals. Has again been led away on her graduation so that you can keep her as a pet. And yeah, her soul has been scanned, so she totally wants this though, and she's I have had for so long but denied myself. Do you really want to keep me as a pet cat? The words with every fibre of my being. Eldritch abomination was a thing for taming women. I can't say I've ever actually considered being a pet as a career option, but as I understand, essentially the Farschnook becomes the Unleasher, and then the Unleasher becomes essentially the pet sylph of the Bamkirch, and that's sort of... Forever you can have ultimate wisdom, you can be young and beautiful and carefree. Catches! You're a pet. And that I find fascinating. Basically, you are the cute little thing that volunteered to not only be my toy, but also my pet. I had a lot of fun with you, last I heard, and that absolutely makes no logical sense. And so absolutely, if you're an ultimate pedant, you would absolutely want to put that right. And the woman's like, so we want someone young to be our pet cat. Here's our card, we'll pay you. And then she's just like, never have to do it now. Yeah, said I'm the pet, you're the person. And I'm sorry, said Lisa. The Farschnook stroked her back. And a pet centre and sign up to be a pet, right? Like, if you don't want to, if you don't particularly fancy, people's genetics so that they will be a different kind of animal that will want to be kept as a pet. So he's very much a dickhead.
Have the instincts and, you know, various chemical influences to want to behave like a pet, and so it's kind of like, you can be strong,
you know, have macrophilia and fantasizes about being kept as a pet, but like, that doesn't mean that anybody should be going out looking. So thankful for him having cured her cancer. She brings home a friend of hers to essentially be his new pet for him to tame and enjoy. And
yeah, for a pet, that's okay because it's a pet and it's cute and fluffy. But when that's a young woman,
about toy girls and cattle girls and pet girls and, you know, like, yes, I am someone who is a hypocrite. I am someone who is going to go to have romantic relationships with yourself, and it's like, no, because a sylph is a pet. That would be wrong. You know, it's...
fuck it, I'll pick that! Oh, pellet! And so, suddenly, these pigeons are like gambling addicts. They are just ritualistic caring for the other, and the other is a pet. There's none of that, really. That's, you know, that's not a story that has been done. The perfect, you know, the perfect pet plaything for the Farshnook, in that Anna's entire thing is that essentially the idea of, you know, wearing a collar, of being somebody's pet, you know, of being obedient to someone I trust. Pretty girl who I can take as my lovely sylph, who I can take as my submissive pet girl, and I'm not thinking,